Good morning and welcome to another fresh edition of your newspaper review on the program Inside Nigeria. My name is Unifred Ugbebo, your host on the program. And on today's newspaper review, we are looking at what the papers are saying, including Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership's leading story today, Thursday, 17th April 2025, says ahead of 2027, wrangling within PDP unsettles Atiku supporters. I will ride on any available platform coming from the SVP. PDP governors playing Tinubu spoiler game coalition. CPC bloc declares support for president. These are kickers to the leading story on leadership this Thursday. Ahead of 2027, wrangling within PDP unsettles Atiku supporters. And the SVP says he will ride on any available platform. PDP governors playing Tinubu spoiler game coalition. CPC bloc declares support for president. Leading story today on leadership. Terrorists kill 7 in fresh Adamawa attack. Plateau governor bans night grazing. Dangote cuts petrol price to 835 naira per litre. Kaduna IDPs cry out over hardship. That takes us to the stories just close to the masthead. Killings, federal government restates commitment to ending insecurity. And on the business boss, tariff war, Nigeria others may face budget constraints coming from the World Bank. Let's take excerpts from that. With the rising uncertainties due to the ongoing tariff wars, Nigeria and other emerging economies who are reliant on commodity exports are likely to experience budgetary pressures. The president of the World Bank Group, Ajay Banga, has cautioned. Speaking during a virtual briefing ahead of the 2025 World Bank/International Monetary Fund spring meetings, Ajay noted that the budgetary challenges may arise as global trade tensions escalate and economic growth slows. Excerpts from today's business news cover on leadership. Tariff war, Nigeria others may face budget constraints. World Bank. And above the masthead of leadership, Tinubu gives census panel 3 weeks to submit reports. Reps invite Ibas over state of affairs in Rivers. With that, we move to the page 3 of leadership, where we have a permanent fixture stand. Today's stand is on curb the abuse of NEF fund. Curb the abuse of NEF fund. Reports from the National Orientation Agency (NOA) reveal a widespread abuse of the National Education Loan Fund (NEL fund) by some tertiary institutions. The agency is worried that the trend is embarrassing to the nation's ivory towers and must be curbed. Beyond this disclosure, the report also traced the unsavory development to the endemic and seemingly intractable corruption in the public space. If left unchecked, this sort of unethical practice by some institutions in connivance with banks risks jeopardizing all the envisaged gains of student loan initiatives. Unless urgent steps are taken by all the relevant stakeholders, including the anti-graft agencies, the euphoria that greeted the federal government student loan initiative will give way to despondency, and that will be a sad commentary for the nation. In our opinion, the NOA needs to name and shame the institutions involved in this unethical conduct with the colluding banks, even if to protect the integrity of other institutions and banks, since not all of them indulge in this national embarrassment. These are answers today from the stand, Curb the Abuse of NEM Fund. From our standing move to the back page of the paper, where we have Being Blunt with Muazu Elize. Muazu Elize is the group managing director of Leadership Newspaper Limited, and today is writing on NBC Tell Your Papa and Free Speech. NBC Tell Your Papa and Free Speech. It took a report that the National Broadcasting Corporation actually banned Idris Abdulkarim's Tell Your Papa song. And today's Being Blunt with Muazu Elize. His write-up is on NBC Tell Your Papa and Free Speech. We will take the quote. Many Nigerians were drawn to the song by NBC's patently eye service van. Eye service a code. Of course, is a column you don't want to miss when you log in to the website of leadership. However, before we leave leadership, let's go to Ghana Must Go. Ghana Must Go. Boala says, my problem with Ndume started when I visited Tinubu, and guess what? Ghana Must Go replied. He wanted you to take him along. Is a question that Daniel Boala has to answer. Well, it's on that note we conclude review of Leadership newspaper this Thursday. For more, log into www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we move over to the other papers we have on our lineup. Let's go with the Punch. The Punch is talking insecurity, and so do we have in on other papers we have on our lineup. First, the Punch says Northern governors in joint push against resurgent attacks. Northern Governors Forum plans coordinated response. Defense headquarters deploys more assets to Borno. Kicker to that leading story. However, the one we have on our lineup is different from that. Is the Lagos version of the Punch. The one for Abuja says Northern Governors in joint push against resurgent attacks. Northern Governors Forum plans coordinated response. Defense headquarters deploys more assets to Borno. On the cover of the Punch, we have the picture of Rivers women protesting again. Rep some panel summons Ibas. We have the women in red t-shirts in protest, carrying placards. Ibas Rivers State Sole Administrator is taking orders from Wike. Underneath that photo and the picture, photo and the caption for the picture, we have 2027 coalition to unseat Tinubu gaining ground, says Atiku. 3 headers arrested after fresh Benue deadly attacks. The story is on page 35 of the Punch. APC and NPP clash over Kwankwaso's alleged defection plan. APC and NPP clash over Kwankwaso's alleged defection plan. The story runs on page 37 of the Punch. We move towards the masthead of the Punch. 800 naira per litre petrol in sight as oil prices fall. And above the masthead, EFCC SEC move to dismantle pausing schemes. Tinubu's France retreat sparks backlash amid rising insecurity. Tinubu's France retreat sparks backlash amid rising insecurity. Plateau killings, police arrest key suspects, government bans night grazing. This story runs on page 36 of the Punch newspaper. And it's on this note we conclude review of front headline stories on today's Punch. Don't forget to log into the website of the Punch for continuation of these stories. From the Punch, we move over to the next paper, still talking about insecurity, and that is THISDAY. THISDAY says Mutwang instead broadcast says fear won't overrun Plateau. Says state witnessing a systematic and premeditated campaign that seeks to instill terror and fear on communities. Federal government urges media to stop giving oxygen to terrorists but amplify armed forces heroism. Information space now battlefield, says CDS. Badaru seeks media military synergy. NGF canvasses peace in Plateau violence. No sane society will turn blind eye to these killings, Tambuwa notes. Fear in Otukpo as herdsmen slaves cause death rises. Mark says attack not accidental. From that, we move towards the masthead of this day. Mo Abuju Kwame Onuachi named in Time 100 most influential people. Tinubu rejoices with Ebonyi Live's chief executive. Congratulations to her. Still on THISDAY newspaper, Nigeria's foreign minister Yusuf Tuga in historic visit to Niger Republic. This story runs on page 8 of THISDAY. Nigeria's foreign minister Yusuf Tuga in historic visit to Niger Republic. And above the masthead of THISDAY, Farouk Aliu attacks El-Rufai as Masawi and Makura. 21 CP chiefs back Tinubu. Barau canvasses support for president, says he's laying foundation for Nigeria's prosperity. A landmark ruling, UK Supreme Court says trans women not legally women. That is a good one. The story runs on page 45 on this day. That is a good one for the women activist group who took the case to the court. It's on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on this day newspaper. There is Thursday. For more, log into the website of this day. As we move over to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Vanguard. Still talking insecurity. It says insecurity worsens. Herdsmen kill 144 in Plateau, Benue in 14 days. 13 slaughtered, many missing, 50 houses razed in fresh Benue attack. Motuan prohibits night grazing, transportation of cattle. Leave France, return home. Obi tells Tinubu. Tinubu must restore law and order in Plateau, Benue, Falana. We are deeply pained over Plateau bloodshed, northern elders. We also have the same picture, just like the punch of Rivers women protesting, and they are carrying placards, as I mentioned earlier. Underneath that, Nigeria-China currency swap deal for trade efficiency, CBN. Power Minister blames past governments for poor electricity supply. Now sports. Senator Adeyemi urges Tinubu to immortalize Chukwu. We move to the stories about the masthead of Vanguard. Dangote reduces petrol price further by 3.5% to 835 naira per litre. Rivers, reps invite sole administrator Ibas. CBS, aggrieved investors storm Lagos office, break into premises. 2027, PDP governors Atiku's coalition differ over fronting for Tinubu. Buhari's members vote of confidence on president. That concludes also the review of front headline stories on today's Vanguard newspaper. For more, log into the website of Vanguard. We move over to the next paper on our lineup, and incidentally is the last paper for review this Thursday, and that paper is The Guardian. The Guardian says national headcount, insecurity, economic concerns trade Tinubu's push for fresh census. National headcount, insecurity, economic concerns trade Tinubu's push for fresh census. The story runs on page 6 of The Guardian. However, there is illustration beside that leading story. We have population at last count, that was in 2006. We had 140 million. We had 140 million from the last count in 2006. And the current estimated population is 236.52 million. We have population growth rate 2.52%. Life expectancy, okay, more persons since 2006, the last count. We've had over 96.5 million in addition, and per capita income of $835 estimated. Life expectancy presently is 54.6. GDP growth rate 3.4%. Literacy rate 62%. That's a good one. We have a literacy rate of 62%. That is over average, above average. We have time 100. 2025, Abudu makes times 100 most influential people in the world. Fresh killings in Benue community claim time. REA Lagos to replace over 4 million generators with rooftop solar. The story is on page 5 of The Guardian. Rep summon sole administrator as Rivers women demand end to emergency rule. The story is on page 7 of The Guardian. Lukman alleges PDP governors aiding Tinubu as Atiku intensifies coalition agenda. Federal government launches plan, approves 15 billion naira to curb flood disasters. Don't lose faith in democracy. INEC chairman tells African youths. The story runs on page 4 of The Guardian. That takes us to the stories just beneath the masthead of The Guardian. Suspend France trip to address insecurity. Obi tells Tinubu. Federal government World Bank in fresh $17 billion poverty reduction deal. The story is on page 3 of The Guardian. Federal government World Bank in fresh $17 billion poverty reduction deal. Dangote crashes petrol price by 13 naira per litre, refines 3.5 billion liters in 7 months. Dangote crashes petrol price by 13 naira per litre, refines 3.5 billion liters in 7 months. The news runs on page 3 of The Guardian. It's also on this note we conclude review of front headline stories today on The Guardian newspaper. Today, Thursday, April 17, 2025. For continuation of these headline stories, you head up to the website of The Guardian for more. So, well, viewers, this is where we end today's Inside Nigeria, brought to you on Leadership Television. Don't forget to join us same time, same station tomorrow for another fresh edition of the program. My name is Winifred Webo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast.